Short. I am the co-director of Improbable Players, and we use theater to address addiction in schools and communities.
Great. Awesome. And I'm Glenn Johnson, your productivity coach. And thanks so much for you wrote in kind of with your question or problem, and I'll try to summarize it and you can let me know how it went. So you it sounds like you were kind of doing email and you would get pulled into email and maybe responding to an email would take 15 minutes or it'd take half an hour, but you ended up spending all your time on email and not really having time for kind of a longer, deeper dive kind of projects. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, and what I had proposed that you do was to be working on your email, but anytime you encountered something that seemed like it was going to take 15 minutes or more, to actually schedule time on your calendar to do that. So, did you try that? How did that go?
I did, yeah. So it worked well for a kind of a couple emails I got, and I had to like compose a response, when it's like a
Yeah,
longer form, I need to make attachments,
yeah.
write up a proposal. Like it worked great for that. And so I found like some good like loose times for me, like in the evening. So like 8 to 10 was a good
Hmm.
time for me to put that stuff.
Yeah,
And I felt more on top of that. I need to get better at just like finding a good time to do email because I don't have like a set time.
okay.
Um, so it's like, that can still get away from me and like eat up my day, even when I'm doing kind of that kind of triaging.
Uh-huh, yeah. Okay. Um, do you have like a lot of piled up emails in your inbox at this point?
I got right now we're looking at, let me see, I got six in my personal,
Okay.
and then in my professional we got oh, about 10.
Wow. Total. In both your inboxes, you have 16 total emails left to respond to.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think you are finding time to do email because most people have like hundreds, if not thousands.
I know. I try to get down to one or two by the end of every day because then I feel
Uh,
sanity again.
so you are doing email every day, but you're just kind of doing it at random times, and you want to feel more in charge. You want to feel like, okay, I'm doing this at a particular time and place.
Yeah, because then beyond like the 15, like 30-minute tasks, like I still am not finding a ton of time for like the longer term planning that I want to be doing. So, um, like we don't have a strategic plan at this time.
Yeah,
I'd like to start like building out the bones of a strategic plan, but
sure.
that's such a task that it's like there's never any
Right,
time for it, like, oh, like I
right.
don't have a week to take off in
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, so let's take one problem at a time. Let's look first at, do you want to look at your calendar now and see when might be some times when you could consistently work on email in a concentrated way? Like
sure.
maybe, people tend to say, it takes about an hour for every 100 emails that come in. So
That's fast.
people go at different speeds. That could be a place to start. I don't know if you have a picture of how many emails are coming in a day or week or whatever.
hmm I mean, I'm probably getting maybe like 30 to 50 a day, but they usually require some like real focus of some kind. Like I do a lot of outreach and sales, so whenever I get an email, um, that's like an outreach or sales purpose. Like I usually need to respond with some kind of resource that I'm attaching to that email. I need to find the right one. Then I also need to log that communication happened somewhere, and then also, so there's some process there that.
Yeah, sure. Um, so let's see. I mean, I guess what we can kind of look at is the difference between like triaging email and like fully processing email.
Mhm.
And so one, if you were say to set up like an hour every other day to do kind of like full processing of your email, like from in to empty, from um, that, then what you could do is on the other days, you could be glancing through email, looking for triage, looking for things that you won't be able to handle until the next time you actually sit down to look at that you can't wait, you have to deal with it right away. So that could be one option for you. Do you think you could find an hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to just be totally focused on email?
Yeah, totally. I think right now, if I think about how much time I spend on it, like full processing probably is like at least 2 to 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, all right, so let's see. But yeah, I think if I'm really focused about it, that'll probably be a better use of my time and I'll feel better about it.
Well, and then if again, if you continue to schedule the time to do the things that take 15 minutes or more, it should reduce the amount of time you're spending just processing email. And so
Yeah.
what you want to try to do is stop the switch tasking where you're switching from, working through email and trying to organize the information that's in there versus actually doing the tasks that are in the email. That eats up a lot of bandwidth, and actually you can save time by doing things kind of all in batches.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's helpful. So how do all right, talk to me about triaging.
Okay, so triaging is where you're actually going through your email, and maybe you schedule a time to do this too. Maybe you do it, every day at noon and at 4:30 or something like that, for 15 to 30 minutes. And you're just kind of going through everything that came in to see what do I need to take action on before the next time that I am fully processing my email,
Mhm.
and kind of handling those or scheduling the time to handle those right away. So that way, because we can't control, you're right, that sometimes people will be in touch with us about things that require our attention, before the next time we're going to be fully processing our email.
Mhm.
So it's still the same process in a sense where you're looking for things that are time sensitive. And then if they take 15 minutes or more, you find the time when you're going to schedule to do it.
Okay.
But that gives you a chance to at least look at the email that might be urgent and deal with it right away.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Let me find some times
Yeah.
in my calendar here. So I'm looking at, so I'm just thinking about like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow I can do in the morning. Um, can do like 10:30. Let's see. Actually, tomorrow's an insane day.
Yeah.
uh, you know what? I can do like 6 to 7.
Great. Cool.
Email processing. And then would you recommend so you'd say do that Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
It's a I guess it's a kind of a design process where you try something, you see how it works. If it doesn't work, maybe there's a better time. I know for me, I was looking for a good time once a week to do an hour of reading of a particular journal that I need to try to stay on top of. And I had to try a bunch of kind of different times before I found the right groove. But now that I found it, it's like, oh, that's really working for me. And I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just part of my schedule.
Yeah.
So I'll let you, after we're done, I want to make the most time of this coaching call as we can. So let's try to quickly address the other question of the strategic plan where you have like a larger project, maybe smaller pockets of time, and how are you going to get this done?
Yeah, chip away at it.
Yeah, exactly. So, one way to do it, it's kind of a combination of two different things. It's like if you think about the completed strategic plan, thinking about what's the halfway mark? How would you know when you were about halfway through this strategic plan?
I think so. I guess I would lay out like strategic plan. There's like marketing, outreach, programs, development, and then like I don't know, like personnel or
Mm,
staff, like as elements of it. And then I would think of, if I have like a solid, I don't know that halfway, I know that like an outline of
mhm.
what goals are around each of those things, and then like really like prioritizing certain goals,
Yeah,
like that would be a significant step. And then I think from there, what do we do? What I do is like build out a timeline and then like flesh out the language that's actually in the plan. Does that make sense?
yeah. So outline, priorities, goals, and then a timeline where you're actually kind of laying out when everything's going to happen, and
Yeah.
the language that fleshes it all out.
Yep. Timeline, language. So I think having an outline
Yeah,
with goals and then like priorities that are selecting for the goals that we really need to start with,
yeah.
that would be like a good mark to be at. Like that's where I would love to be right now.
Yeah, sure, great. So with these kind of larger projects that are kind of like, you kind of feel overwhelming, it's useful to break them down into smaller chunks. And it sounds like we've gotten to one that's like, if you could get this outline done, that would be a great start. And
Yeah.
so then, what you can do, as I was just talking to another client about this, is there's an idea called the Pomodoro technique. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
so
love
yeah,
it. And then I do it for like 2 days and then
yeah.
you know,
But for people who might not know, so it's like the idea is that it's based on like Pomodoro is like a type of kitchen timer, like shaped like a tomato, and Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. So 25 minutes chunks of work followed by 5-minute breaks.
yeah.
Um, so maybe, a next step could be for you to schedule when you're going to do some Pomodoros on working on the outline for the strategic plan.
Yeah. Okay.
And that breaks it down to something that's, half an hour that you could probably find a half an hour sometime to get a start on it.
Let's get some Pomodoros around it. Great. Yeah, that's a good call. That's more manageable.
Yes, that's what we need with these overwhelming projects. Break it down into bite-sized bites. Yeah,
Okay.
and something that can fit into an already hectic calendar.
Yeah.
Now, another little tip is, like you were just trying to find time in your calendar for tomorrow for an hour of time for email. But the thing is that the the closer things are, like the harder it is to schedule them. So sometimes it can be useful. Like you might be able to find, 2 or 3 half an hour chunks to work on your strategic plan this week. But if you start scheduling now, the time you're going to spend on it next week and the week after, you can carve out larger chunks of time. And then when someone's trying to get on your calendar about something, you can say, I've blocked in that time for the strategic plan. I won't be able to meet with you then. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, especially if we're trying to squeeze everything into a calendar where we already haven't been putting all the things we need to put into it, like our email or the time we're spending on longer term projects.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you're working in a nonprofit setting is my impression, and the arts, I don't know, my impression is that sometimes that there isn't usually going to be enough time for everything that needs to happen, but it really is about making choices and making priorities and things like that. So there's no cure-all, but at least you know that you're making choices based on your own goals and the goals of your organization.
Yeah. What needs to happen?
Yeah. So that's been about 15 minutes. Do you have any other quick questions before we wrap up?
No, this is helpful.
Great, cool. Well, let me know how it goes.